sometimes you just don't know what you're getting into. You know what the paper on your dashboard says. Something about the roof or the cooler, maybe, or something about plumbing. But there's also a lot that it doesn't say. What the solution to the chronic roof leak is going to involve, or where the leak is that has been causing your client to get those $190 water bills. Of course, those things, finding the elusive roof leak or sleuthing out an electrical short, that's the technical challenge of working at CHRPA. If you wanted simple assembly line work, screwing gizmos onto gadgets, you would be standing in front of a conveyor belt at the Gizmo Gadget Assembly Plant, building number 11. Here, you have a truck full of hardware and a variety of tools and a partner with a good mix of curiosity and ingenuity, and a fairly free rein to exercise some creativity and do some field engineering when it's called for.
But we all know that it's the other side of the unknown that is even more interesting. That's the human side, the unknown aspect that involves whoever it is that's going to open the door when you knock on it, or rattle the security screen, or shout from the outside of the fence because a pretty convincing dog is brandishing his long spiked canines at you. Whose house are you stepping into? Whose cluttery kitchen table are you going to sit at? Asking that person for all of their personal information. Whose family pictures line the hallway? Who is going to be crying as they tell you about their lost grandson? Or the spouse that they still miss every day, even though it's been 4 years now? Who is going to offer you a glass of cold water or a bowl of hot soup as you sort out the plumbing problem? Who is going to tell you their story today that you would never have a chance to hear if it weren't for this coincidence of need and resource and the somewhat random shuffle of the day's schedule?
All of this unknown business puts some adventure into coming to work in the morning.
Once upon a time, there was a roof named Gretcho. Gretcho the Techo. Gretcho was a happy roof. She kept her people dry even when it was raining.
She gave her people shade even when it was sunny.
She gave her people protection even when the wind would blow as hard as could be.
Gretchen did all of this work happily and didn't ask for much in return. The occasional dab of tar, a scupper cleaning now and again, and once every 5 or 10 years, well, a coat of elastomeric sure felt good.
These days, Gretcho's people didn't visit her so often. Her man, Honeybunch, had developed a heart condition and could not climb a ladder. Her woman, Maggie Dearest, had arthritis and could not grip a trowel.
Her children had long since moved away and had busy lives of their own in Tuscaloosa and Cheyenne. Her dog, a Chihuahua named Taco, didn't have opposable thumbs and was pretty much useless for roof maintenance.
And then Gretchen had another problem. And her problem had a name. And the name of her problem was Rusty. Rusty the Cooler.
Gretcho and Rusty were actually old friends. They had kept each other company through many a long, hot summer day. But Rusty was getting a little older too and developed an embarrassing problem. Rusty was incontinent.
At first, Gretchen was very gracious about Rusty's problem. After all, she had occasionally let a drip or two go herself. problem was more than the occasional drip. Rusty was letting a stream of salty and highly mineralized water pour out of his pan and onto Gretchen. She began to rust. Oh, no. She began to lose her elastomeric. She developed the dreaded condition of roof ponding. Gretchen became angry with Rusty.
She shouted at Rusty,
"Quit leaking on me!"
"I can't help it, Gretchen."
"Well, you had better help it, or I'm gonna shake you right off my back!"
This made Rusty cry. And that didn't help matters at all.
Soon Gretchen began to leak. First, it was just an occasional drip, but after a while, rain would just laugh at Gretchen and dribble straight onto the bedroom of Honey Bunch and Maggie Dearest. It was very embarrassing and sad. Gretchen and Rusty wouldn't even speak to each other. Then, one day, Rusty saw a dirty white van drive down the street. It had a magnetic sign on the door that said CHRPA. This gave Rusty an idea. The next time that Honey Bunch turned Rusty's switch to high cool, Rusty began to make a noise.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Call CHRPA. Whoa, 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 whoa. Call CHRPA. Honey Bunch heard Rusty and told Maggie Dearest what Rusty had said. Maggie Dearest put her head in her hands and muttered something about how she was afraid it would come to this. But eventually Maggie Dearest and Honey Bunch got the message. They called CHRPA.
One day soon afterwards, a dirty red van pulled up to the house of Gretchen and Honey Bunch and Rusty and Maggie Dearest and Taco the Chihuahua. Someone named Howard clunked a ladder up against the house. And someone named Cat climbed the ladder. whoa, we can do this.
Cat and Howard had a piece of plywood for Gretchen. Cat and Howard had some 90-pound cap sheet and a bucket of tar. They even had some nice, soothing elastomeric for Gretchen.
For Rusty, they brought a nice brass cooler float and a balm of submarine coating. They brought a new belt, too, and a little giant cooler pump.
Cat and Howard had opposable thumbs and good hearts and strong hands. After about 4 hours and 45 minutes, Gretchen was happy and sound again. Rusty was cool and was not leaking on his old friend. It was a good day for Cat and Howard because they didn't get very much tar on their elbows. And because Maggie Dearest fed them a lunch of home-style Campbell's soup and homemade peanut butter sandwiches. And because they knew they had made a difference.
Taco the Chihuahua was happy, too, because he got to chase Cat and Howard back and forth between the truck and the ladder for 4 hours and 45 minutes.
Honey Bunch and Maggie Dearest were happy to have their roof and cooler functioning properly, strong and safe, and not leaking into their bedroom. along and just tweak things a bit.
Well, that might be putting it a bit mildly. Take, for instance, the amending of Miss Watson's ramp.
Her well-meaning grandson built her a ramp, you see, and he constructed it as best he could with his limited time and resources. Now, the ramp was on the steep side of the spectrum and climbed 4 feet in little over the length of a car. Any well-bodied biped would have trouble ascending the thing, let alone an aging Miss Winters.
Oh dear.
In an attempt to salvage her grandson's work, Miss Watson had installed handholds, decoratively made of horseshoes, which enabled her to pull herself up the ramp's incline. Horseshoe by horseshoe.
This was difficult for Miss Watson.
The horseshoe solution also proved fairly hazardous. One day she fell off the ramp when one of the horseshoe handholds broke.
This is where CHRPA came in.
Miss Watson told us that she wanted to put off relying on a wheelchair, but she was soon to undergo back surgery. While she hoped that the surgery would enable her to continue walking for several more years, she will need a wheelchair during her recovery, and will someday likely end up in a wheelchair more permanently.
So the process of building Miss Watson a safer and more permanent mobility solution began. Hugh and Siri and John got busy on the 3-day project. It takes a lot of lumber and a lot of cutting and bolting and screwing to construct a ramp.
Towards the end of their build, a neighbor stopped by to visit Miss Watson and to inspect the work. They reminisced about that good old grandson and wished him well. That neighbor also hinted to Miss Watson that this new ramp was going to be a trifle bit better than the previous effort.
When CHRPA left the job site that day, our client looked proud and secure, standing on her new wheelchair
You know, if I'm being honest, we're not always excited to start our jobs. Some make us cringe, like seeing major roof repair on the work order.
Roofing is a dirty, strenuous job. The asphalt and fiberglass dust, hoisting hundreds of pounds of shingles up a ladder, trying to align sheets of plywood while straddling rafters. But we don't work at CHRPA because we love grit in our teeth and sweat in our eyes. We work at CHRPA because it reminds us of our own good fortune, of how quickly life can change, and of how people, even in the hardest times, can still be gracious and generous.
One elderly client, Cynthia, had been an administrative assistant. Her son Mateo lives next door and used to work as a pipe fitter. Both were laid off 5 years ago.
Mateo has held some temporary jobs, and Cynthia has enrolled in a job training program. But when her roof started leaking, they were short on options. Mateo tried to patch the trouble spots, to no avail. Cynthia needs an extensive repair. This is when CHRPA got the call.
Dan Regier and Ed Seal are hardy enough to handle this. Let's send them.
They zoom across town to assess what will probably be a long, hard, messy job.
The two brave men leap into action, and what they discover is even more horrible than they imagined. Never mind needing 5 sheets of plywood, they need 13. Never mind stuffing the old roofing into the back of the van. They need a dump truck.
In truth, the whole roof really needs to be replaced. A costly job that will strain our budget and, more importantly, limit how
thinking, if you can pay for the new plywood, I can get some discounted materials from the place I used to work. Then you wouldn't have to buy shingles, right?
Dan and Ed prod a bit, knowing that the family's money is tight and roof work is hard. But Mateo is committed. His brother will chip in. The family needs some help getting started, but they'd like to do the work.
The hard, dirty, tiring work.
In 2 sentences, Mateo has not just turned the job around. He's turned the project from charity to partnership. Between our know-how, his labor, and his brother's financial help, Cynthia will have a safe and dry house this summer.
And to think, we were so anxious about that job.
It goes to show you, sometimes you just don't know what you're getting into.